United States government is apparently intensifying a manhunt for an Iranian intelligence operative whom the FBI believes has been plotting to assassinate former Trump administration officials, including one-time Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. Now, this is according to reporting by Semafor, and in an announcement by the FBI's Miami field office last Friday, they issued a public alert seeking information on a man by the name of Majid Dashjani Farahani, who is the suspected member of Iran's Ministry of Intelligence and Security, and the individual that the Bureau is alleging has been recruiting individuals for operations in the United States to include lethal targeting of current and former USG officials. Now, Semafor says that it is unclear why this announcement was made in Florida. I'm gonna speculate, and let me be clear that I'm speculating, but I think it's a good educated guess that they made this announcement in Florida because that's where Donald Trump is, that's where Mar-a-Lago is. One of the biggest security concerns under the Trump administration was the fact that if you're willing to pay a certain amount of money, you can be a member of Mar-a-Lago and you can be in the same room as the president as he's dining and discussing potentially sensitive information. So that's just my speculation. I'm not entirely sure, but it is notable that this announcement was made in Florida. So I'm gonna go ahead and guess that it is likely that this individual that there is a manhunt for is currently in Florida. Now, they also warned that Farahani speaks Spanish and frequently moves between Iran and Venezuela. The US Department of Justice convicted an alleged Iranian operative back in 2011 for allegedly working with Mexican drug cartels to attempt to assassinate Saudi Arabia's former ambassador to Washington while he dined at a Georgetown restaurant. And then in January of this year, the Department of Justice indicted an Iranian gang leader for allegedly working with members of the Hells Angels to kill Iranian dissidents living in Maryland. So these assassination attempts or these bad actors that the FBI has been investigating in, for the most part, are motivated by different reasons, right? Going after Iranian dissidents, things like that. But the Iranian government is apparently also seeking retaliation or revenge over the assassination of the top general of Iran, Qasem Soleimani. And that's what I really want to focus on here, because I think one of the biggest mistakes people make is thinking that Donald Trump's decision to assassinate a top general in Iran really had no ramifications. There were no consequences to that. But it's becoming more and more clear to me that there absolutely have been consequences, and I want to talk about that a little bit.
We might have millions of people watching this show, but you can be the difference maker, because we just need 1% of our audience to be paid members, and then this show can be around forever. So you can make that difference. Click join now.
Let me just note that the DOJ, according to Semafor, indicted members of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps in 2022 for allegedly plotting to murder Trump's former national security advisor, John Bolton, who served in the White House, as we all know, in the months leading up to Soleimani's death. John Bolton is a war hawk. You can't get much hawkish than Bolton. Bolton wanted to go to war at any moment. He just absolutely loved war. And to Trump's credit, he pushed back on Bolton quite a bit when it came to some of the foreign policy desires that Bolton had. But to Trump's discredit, he also assassinated Qasem Soleimani, and that has led to some consequences. So for instance, we should remember that 3 members of our military were killed in a drone strike recently, and there were some allegations that Iran intentionally did that in retaliation of the assassination of Qasem Soleimani. There's also the fact that there's retaliation against the US military and the United States as it continues its unwavering support for Israel and its war on Gaza. So that probably played a role as well. US officials told Semafor they believe that Pompeo and Trump's special envoy for Iran, Brian Hook, are also on Tehran's hit list. The US government is apparently also currently providing both men with around-the-clock security due to the severity of the threat, meaning Bolton and Hook. The FBI also said on Friday that Farahani, who's 42 years old, was recruiting individuals as revenge for Soleimani's death and to conduct surveillance activities focused on religious sites, businesses, and other facilities in the United States. And apparently the Treasury Department had already sanctioned Farahani back in December of last year. So it's scary to know that there are, certain nefarious figures operating in the United States looking to engage in retaliatory efforts against US officials for their actions abroad, but we also shouldn't be surprised by that. Anyone who thought that there wouldn't be consequences for assassinating Qasem Soleimani was lying to themselves. Just absolute lunacy, totally ridiculous to think that that would happen. The Iranian government has made the avenging of Soleimani's assassination one of its top national security objectives. Senior members of the IRGC have even said in recent weeks that Hamas's October attack on southern Israel was driven in part by this aim. The Al-Aqsa Storm, as they call it, was one of the retaliations of the Axis of Resistance against the Zionists for the martyrdom of Qasem Soleimani. The Zionists didn't really have anything to do with taking Soleimani out. It was the Trump administration that unilaterally made that decision, and we've been kind of waiting for consequences of that ever since. And it appears that they've been plotting certain consequences, and in some cases have even succeeded. Iranian state media quoted the IRGC spokesman Ramazan Sharif as saying that they're plotting the retaliation back in December. So we'll give you more on this as it develops, but really troubling news. And if you happen to come across this individual, or if you have any information about this individual, let's put the graphic up again. Again, his name is Majid Dasjani Farahani. Contact the authorities. They're looking for him, and they suspect that he is spying on behalf of the Iranian government.